Hello everyone and no one, and welcome back to another Rotten's Guns. Probably going to do another little shooting talk today. It is freaking cold. I forsook my bibs because I need to get some strap extensions or buy a new set, because since my shoulders have gotten bigger, they pull way too much, and obviously they're going to stop at the groin. So we're going to go over here. Walk out. Doesn't look like the people who left a target out used it much at all, so we're going to go ahead and get my Beretta a bit better sighted in, as long as I don't fall, because the snow has been god awful. Oh god. Oh, come on. Okay, so it looks like I'm a bit low. Oh, fingers are a bit cold. It looks like I'm more centered, but still a bit low. Just a tad. Yep, so still just a tad low. Not by much, it looks like. Got it about centered. So add a little bit to its height, and we'll call it for that one. Go ahead and that in there. And let's grab the other mag. I am trying to short stroke the freaking trigger, so I am false resetting myself. Oh. Brought out about 4 guns today. Still contemplating when I'm going to buy a staccato or use my bonus towards an OA Defense 2311 so I can actually use my SIG 320 mags. I got most of the mags loaded up, so you know what, we're gonna bust out the Langdon Tactical Beretta. Throw the Metgar one in there. I also have some 15-round mags with some 3D printed sleeves that I bought on Amazon. Whew. They're not as good on the 15-round mags. There's a bit of a gap. They're not as good as the X grip. We'll just stop about here and try to stomp some of this snow down. Ah. Well, not bad for both eyes open and irons. Need some more trigger time on this, so that way I can start doing some drawing practice and actually start carrying it instead. Oop. Okay, the fact I did a triple tap on that was actually pretty cool to me. It is cold. It's like 20 something degrees. Huh. Yeah, I don't know if I can see. There's a little bit of a gap right here, which isn't bad. Kind of wish for this they'd have had the Centurion model. I am so tempted to, because I'm one of those people that, you go through, do one gun build, and you're already thinking about the next one, even though you don't have it fully completed. Once I got to this part on the Beretta M9A4, I kind of want to get another one, but the Centurion model, and see if I can make the comp work on it. I just had to look at what I'd be using as the guide rod. You know what? We'll bust out the old, I say old, Smith & Wesson CSX and see if I have the sights put in right, because the rear sight seems fine. A little more hesitant on the front, so we'll go a tad closer. Yeah, this thing, because of the way they did the trigger, you kind of get a false reset, which is stupid annoying. And with gloves, it can throw you off even worse. Huh. It's probably not perfect. Let's see about where I'm trying to hit. Couldn't tell there. Fucking reset. Can't tell. God dang reset. Yeah. Because of the trigger dingus and whatnot, the way it's still an actuating trigger. It looks like it's a 1911 style trigger, but it's not a straight pull. So on part of its go back, you feel a bit of a click, and that's a false reset that a lot of people have talked about. And well, it's not a bad little gun. They just did the trigger wrong, in my opinion. And the safety should be a little bit bigger so you can actuate it easier. Going back to spending stupid money on guns, or more money than a lot of people are willing to. Like I said, I'm in the toss-up of depending on what my bonus is this year. I kind of want to get a staccato, and that or like I said, the OA defense, so I can use my 320 mags. Because I have the 320 compact that will probably rarely ever come out of the safe. Still not going to get rid of it. One, because I'll never really get any money out of it. Oh, you're moving around a little bit more. Whew. And let's just stop right here. And like, I'm kind of torn between two models. I was looking at the compacts originally, and I'm just like, nah, you know what? I don't need another carry sized gun, so I'm gonna look at full size models. And I'm now torn between like the Staccato HD P4.5, which is basically a G17 equivalent, but better in a lot of cases, instead of just the P4, which is actually closer to like a G45. It's actually funny. Their C3.6, the ones that takes Glock mags, is more like a G26X. So their was it the C4X they just came out with this year is the closest to a 19, but it doesn't have the barrel length of a G19. So I was like, you know, the 4.5, if anything, I can always just look at turning that into my home defense gun and my fun gun type thing. That or looking at the Staccato P, and if I'm gonna do that, might as well get the threaded barrel with the compensator. I just haven't figured out what optic I'd want to go with, and want to find out if the Staccato P, if you buy it with the optic, if it still comes with the iron sights base plate. Because if it does, then I might just order it directly through them instead of trying to buy one through one of my local gun stores and having to, you know, most likely send the gun to them to have stuff fitted. Because I don't think they just, as far as I can remember from looking at their site, they don't just sell barrels. Because even though their machining is, you know, amazing, they're still going to require a bit of fitting. Even Ben Stoger said that. I don't know if it's Stoger or Stager. I've never actually heard him say his name, and I've heard it said like 6 different ways, it seems like. Yeah, I'm basically torn between, if I put an optic on it, either going and spending almost $1,000 on the optic for that Trigicon, not the SRO, the other one that has the dot and the circle that leans a little forward, and you don't have to remove it to put the change the battery. Or just buy it, or just getting it with like the Hollow Sun 507 comp, which in itself would be a great optic as well. I know there's a lot of people that love that one. Or like I said, the other option is to go down with the OA Defense, the compact, for their, I think it's the 2311. And that one would be cool, because, you know, I already have 4 320 compact mags, and it comes with 3 more, so I'd have 5 15-round mags and 2 10-round mags that I didn't realize were 10-round mags when I bought them, which explained the price when I looked at it later on, but whatever, I'm not complaining. And then it's, do I want to get the regular one, the compact, or like their pro model that's ported? And I'm now leaning towards the porting, just because I don't have a ported gun that's legitimately ported. I have a couple barrels that have the quote-unquote porting past the barrel. And some in my like Prodigy, which is, you know, technically considered an integral comp. there I was doing so well of hitting them, and in the last mag I just kind of fumbled the ball. All right. Luckily, I was able to pick up 1,000 rounds of MagTech for a pretty decent price off, surprisingly, Gunbroker. Like, even with the shipping and tax, it was less than most other places are charging just for 1,000 rounds themselves. All right. I still have no idea what I'm at for round count with this thing, but the Zulisy Z1G has been pretty freaking good. On my Shield 40 with Performance Center with the 9mm conversion barrel. So, you know what? We're going to... Which one do we want to go with? Oh, we're going to take my M9A4 back out. Yeah. Like, for staccato, I wouldn't mind just saying screw it and spend the extra money and do the staccato XC, because oh gosh, that gun looks so freaking cool. But then I know I'm going to be spending like $4,000, and it's like, man, at that point, like, I could buy a complete Nighthawk custom. I kind of got into the argument with this online with one guy, and I know he says like, oh, gunsmiths are irrelevant, you know, in this day and age. I do disagree with them, because the gun companies still have gunsmiths. It's just when you look at Glock, you don't really need to be one. I think with like an 8-hour course, stop talking when I grabbed ammo, because that usually tends to overtake the mic. Like, in less than a weekend, you can technically be considered a Glock armor, and that includes the rarely ever seen G18. You know, the select fire Glock. Oh crap, pull all these other mags out of my pocket. Whew. And I will have to say, I was surprised these ETS mags work so well in the snow, or in the winter. Last time I had one I was using one for a G19 back in New Mexico, and it actually had it that as they were going up, they kind of froze. But this is more of like a barely staggered stacks type thing, so it makes a bit more sense that it would work properly. I also found out for like the G43 mags from ETS, if you use just the finger extension, not the +1 extensions for anything, those base plates will actually work on those. Now, for like a G29, you've got to do a little file, depending on which pinky extension you get. You may have to do a little filing. Like, I had picked up a 3-pack on Amazon. I had to get the burr off the base plate itself of where the little peg goes into it, and then do some sanding on the front end of the actual little lock-in place thing to get it to work. But yeah, with that it fits. I wasn't trying to do any mag extensions. I haven't brought that one out yet because I'm waiting on my KKM conversion barrel for it. Man, a little bit of a failure to feed. So far with this gun, since adding the compensator, I've had 2 failures to feed. And yeah, let's put the mag in the same one with the loaded mag, the empty mag. Granted, I think they were both with the Langdon Tactical base plate, which does have a different spring. I might need to which I plan to do with a couple mags. I think this is coming in. Actually pull the thing off, push the freaking follower down and buff out the feed lips a little bit, see if that helps. Yeah, if I... Oh, okay, never mind. A little bit of a feed issue there. Still, if I do what I'm supposed to, like usual, I can do pretty well with the gun. The ones I plan on doing that with is my Prodigy mags the most. Granted, I haven't had any issues with them that I can remember. Most of it's been the slide not finishing into battery. All right, so went over the whole thing of the Glock counterparts for staccato, vaguely. And that I decided against the compact 2011. Just because for me to do that, I would definitely want to be making better money than I currently am. Not that I'm making terrible money, but when you got to pay rent and most of your utilities and everything else, plus still eat, and then try to have enough money for a YouTube channel that's gun related, that's a little bit more difficult sometimes. Maybe someday I'll get big enough to where I can actually make enough AdSense to just pay for the ammo. Like, that's all I want currently. Plus, it didn't help. I just woke up freaking tired today, even though I took Friday off and had to work Saturday. Working Saturday just freaking wears me out. It's not even like my job is super hard. I went over the ETS mag. Yeah, I picked up a notepad so I could write things down at work and not talk to myself about them. I work in a loud environment, and I've talked to myself for years, which is kind of nice for something like this for GunTube, because then it's just speaking my thoughts aloud. It just sucks that the freaking cold is wanting to make my nose run. Oh. So the last thing I can think of was something that just popped into my head when I was looking at my ETS mags, and that's the P mags. You know, most people that I've seen have absolutely no issue with the AR P mags. Throw some more ammo out for when I'm done with these mags. Yeah, and like I said, for this one, if you look at it, they're a semi-staggered. So closer to a straight wall. When you actually get to the more like this one, where it's an actual double stack, they were having some issues for the ETS. And I know there's a lot of people that aren't the biggest fan of like the PMAG Glock pistols, because I think that's the only other mags they make is the 26, the 19, and the 17. And for someone who's like, they make a 26 round mag? No, for the G26. If they made a 26 round magazine, that'd be pretty cool. And I regard most of the like P-mags and ETS mags like a lot of people do, to where they're great for training, because if they mess up while you're at the range, you have no issues. I'm just not one of the ones for standard Glock mags to think that you can't put a different base plate in them or something. Or as like some people have an issue with the mag guts for some of them. Had a couple of those bop me right in the head. Like, I wouldn't use one of these mags for carry if I were going to carry this, just because they stick out ridiculous. It's like, good Lord, I know the thing's swinging, but I'm aiming at the same spot. Apparently I'm just shaking or something. But yeah, I guess the P-mags for the Glocks haven't shown. It's one of those things, they haven't been out long enough. Or I should say in the field long enough. So like I said, people have been using the AR P-mags for so long that, as far as I've seen, no one really has an issue with them. It's the Glock ones. And then it's funny because Metgar, who's been making mags forever as well, comes out with their version of a Glock mag that adds an extra round because it doesn't have that polymer coating on the outside. Which is funny because they didn't build in a mag stop, so you can technically over-insert those mags. All right, you know what we're going to do? We're going to walk over here to probably put myself a bit closer to 75. Oh, excuse me. And try to see if I can go with it. Because I know Shadow Systems, I want to say, other than I think it's like their 940 or something that comes with mags, or it comes with its own proprietary mags. They typically came with a P-mag. And some people didn't like that. And it's like, well, then just buy regular Glock mags for them. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I didn't hit that thing once. Just trying to trudge through spots that people have already walked in. So that's why I typically say, though, for like the P-mags or ETS mags, you know, they're good for training. Depending on your environment, they might be okay for carry. I personally wouldn't trust them for any plus in there. I like using any of the plus base plates on them. But all in all, they're not bad. They're just not great. Oh, that one was actually pretty good. Missed that first round and then just barreled the rest in onto it. Huh. Seriously, I don't have a final thoughts video on this thing yet, but I'm just going to go ahead and say, I think even with the Glock, it was me. Might have been a bit of the barrel. But Zulisy's getting my freaking seal of approval as, you know, some mostly functioning idiot on the internet that doesn't have the credentials that a bunch of other gun tubers have. I mean, it's just been rocking it. I just wish Smith & Wesson didn't have that stupid loaded chamber spot, because it just fogs up your glass. Which is one of the few reasons I actually will say, if you're going to use a Prodigy, to get one of the ones that kind of overhangs, like that Gideon that I put on it. It didn't dirty up my glass like it did with the Vector. All right, we'll lock that slide back again. Take my gloves off for a minute and grab these other ones. Oh, going back to the, I'm sorry. My nose is super run in the cold. And I'm pretty sure it's not the nicotine pouch, because it was doing it to me before. Going back to the whole thing for the bibs, otherwise kind of known as like overalls. You know, some might say, oh, well, you know, you just got to lose some weight, fatty. And I need to. I'm back under 240, so there's that. I have lost some of my love handles again in my waist. Been noticing it with some of my clothes. The problem is my chest and shoulders have gotten bigger, so those pull on the straps more. I'm having to, if I want to wear a shirt exponentially more comfortably, move to a double XL shirt. Or I'm going to have to start shopping exclusively in the big and tall section. Even though I'm not that tall, I'm just about 5'10". I'm close enough to being 5'10" that I'll call myself 5'10". Not going to call myself 6 foot, because that would just be a lie. I think after these 3 mags, I'm going to call it. My feet are getting cold, and while I still have a plethora of ammo, I think when I get home, I'm going to film a pour boy out, or it's like or I shouldn't say before I leave, I might throw up another target, see how the Zulisy is actually grouping, and then just do a final on it so I can move on to a different RMR, or try to finish the other Zulisy in the next coming month. Gotta remember to stop dipping the front sight too much. Yeah, we're gonna double action this first one, see how well I can do. Terribly. And again, this is like, I think like a 10-inch target, which shouldn't be too... Yep, gonna have to screw on the TLRX-7X again, or tighten it down. But it's one of those things, I'm pretty sure if I had like an actual body silhouette, I'd just be knocking it every freaking time. But I'm going to call that for today's shooting and talking. Went over a bit more. Having notes did help out. So thanks for watching. If you're looking for a Beretta, these Langdon Tacticals are freaking sweet for a tricked out production gun. Like I said, I wish I'd have got the Centurion, but this is what they had. And it's still freaking cool. I'm still super tempted to buy an M9A4 Centurion and make it basically just a shorter brother of my regular M9A4. So with a bit different of a sign off, have a good one, folks. If you can legally be armed, and take care of yourself. Stay warm or stay cool if it's cold outside. Have a great one.